Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. My name is Rachel. I'm a customer success manager with Foyr Neo, and I'm also an interior designer. So I use the software every day. And today we're going to be talking about the 4 benefits of using Foyr Neo for 3D visualizations to your clients. So not only does it save you a ton of time, there's a really fast turnaround, but it provides an amazing visual aid for your clients. It allows you to offer e-design services to people who are not geographically close to you, which is an excellent plus. And it allows you to build a portfolio. So when I started with the company, I actually started as a customer, not as an employee. And in the middle of a pandemic, I needed to build a portfolio, but not be taking on clients and going into people's homes. So I turned to Foyr Neo, and one thing led to another, and it's made a huge impact on my life and my design business, and I hope it can do the same for you guys. So let's jump right in. That's me, by the way. Do make sure to follow us on LinkedIn. Check out our Instagram page, which I'll show you guys in a little bit at the end of the presentation, where we're constantly posting new, not only just like short little videos showing you how to do things, but lots of design, like business design tips and tons of renderings that have been created by other Foyr Neo users. So what we're going to talk about today, I'll just reiterate, I'm going to take you through kind of start to finish, up from uploading a floor plan all the way through rendering, and a brief overview of the walkthrough feature and all the kind of the major tools of the software to show you how easy it really can be. I would say that it has one of the shortest learning curves of any software out there, and that was one of the things that I loved the most. And if you have any questions that pop up, do write them down at the end of the session. We'll do a little Q&A, and you can type that in the chat box for me. And do stick around to the end because we do have an offer for you guys. Alrighty? I'm gonna just pop out of the screen, and we're going to bring up our 2D grid, and we're going to jump right into this project here. Okay, can I minimize this? There we go, perfect. Alrighty, so I have a 2-bedroom apartment here that I've furnished and designed, and the first thing that I want to show you is how easy it is to upload a floor plan. So the first thing that you need to do if you have a floor plan available to you is save it to your computer as an image file. And that's it. When you head into a new project, you'll be brought to editor, to this editor tab here. So it opens up an entirely new tab on your computer. Here we are in the 2D grid where we can upload our floor plan and start drawing out our walls. You're going to select here, upload floor plan. I'll find this one here. I'm going to click open. Do make sure that you're using a mouse for this software. A touchpad will work, but I find that a mouse gives you a far greater just range of mobility. Alrighty, so I'm going to crop this out to the outside of the exterior walls. I'm going to move this little guy who's constantly in the way, click next. And then this is a really important step. So on this page, we are going to scale the floor plan on the 2D grid. So in the top left-hand corner, you're going to find these 2 circles, and we're going to take one to one corner, and then we're going to drag out the other along the length of a wall with a known dimension. So I know that this wall here is 9 foot 8 inches. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to enter that in the box in this little window. If you have a different measurement unit, you do have those options here. Okay, now we're going to click done. And when we do that, within a few seconds, there it is going to upload onto the 2D grid. And now I can start drawing my walls over top. So you'll notice that some of my furnishings disappeared just now. Don't panic. That is simply because when you upload a floor plan, it automatically brings you to what's referred to as background plan mode. In background plan mode, you can move your floor plan around the 2D grid. You can select it, delete it. Under edit, you can change the opacity or rotate the floor plan itself. Okay. We're just like lagging a little bit with this call right now, but that's okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is this is just acting as kind of an overlay. We're going to start drawing our walls. So to do that, let me delete that there. And there we go. We're going to switch in this drop down to floor plan mode. Now you'll see that all of my floor and wall docked products have reappeared. And I can use either the wall tool, which is going to draw out individual walls. I'm clicking, I'm not holding down my cursor, I'm moving out my mouse and clicking again. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Or you can use the room tool, which is going to draw out 4 connecting walls for you. You'll also notice that these little windows in the bottom right-hand corner next to my cursor here are showing me the dimensions. So you don't need to click on that. You simply need to start typing. Say I wanted 12 feet by 12 feet. I would click enter, and then the software would set that for me. So for the sake of time and making sure that we get through everything, I'm not going to go into all the details about editing wall features, but do sign up for one of our master classes. Myself and several other customer success managers will work one-on-one with you for a 45-minute session to really delve into all of the details, and you can access that on your dashboard. Alrighty, I'm just going to click here and delete that away. Okay, so we've used our wall tool. We've drawn out our walls over top. I kind of moved this guy a little bit, but that's okay. Now let's talk about the catalog and dragging and dropping items. So if you like, if you like this kind of top-down aerial perspective, you can search your catalog. Let's say I wanted to look for, I have a little mantle here, an armchair to put in. When you select here, you're going to find a number of different categories. If I go to furniture, you'll see then I have subcategories. So let's say I want to look for sofas and armchairs. I'm going to select there, and this is going to bring up the entire catalog of sofas, armchairs, and anything related to that. So you'll see at the top here, I have these little gray squares that are showing me everything that it's showing me, and now I can narrow my search even further and say, hey, just these guys here. And there we are. So as I'm looking through the catalog, maybe I find a number of different options that I like, and I'm not sure which one's going to fit the best. What you're going to do as you hover over this, you're going to add it to your short list by selecting this heart. This is essentially like a Pinterest board for your project. And that way, if you try one chair, it doesn't work out, you don't have to go back into the catalog and search for it all over again because you've seen a number of different options that you like. Okay? So now we'll go back to editor. And when we do that, I can access my short list right here. I can even narrow the search of my short list. So if I just want to see furniture, I can select furniture, and then you'll see here a number of different items that I've saved. So let's say I decide on this guy here. I'm going to simply drag and drop it into the space. Now, I'll zoom in there. Now, when I select this, you'll see that I have a number of different options to manipulate the piece. And when we head into 3D mode, I'll have even more. But for now, what I can do is I can select rotate, and I can rotate this into place. That went smart. There we go. I'm going to hold down my cursor, grab hold of that green arrow, and rotate it towards the mantle. I can select it and click on edit and enter specific dimensions here if I have them, or I can click on resize, and I can just resize it manually. So for here, what you're going to do is click, and then you're not holding down your left click, and then you're going to move out your mouse. You'll see that a window appears. I can also type in the necessary dimensions and click enter. So sometimes it's a little confusing. People will hold down their left click. It's going to move the entire 2D grid and not resize the item, and that's because you just want to click once. You're essentially grabbing hold of it. You're just indicating that you want to grab hold of it, and then you're moving out your mouse. I hope that made sense how I just described that. Alrighty, so that's what I did for this space. I went through my catalog, I searched through all of my options, saved options to my short list, and then I dragged and dropped them into the space. Now let's say you want to apply lighting. You can apply any product in 2D or in 3D mode. It's really a matter of preference. I tend to place my floor dock items in 3D. I always place my ceiling dock items, like my lighting, in 2D mode, and I'll show you how I do that. So from floor plan mode, we're going to go down here and we're going to click on ceiling plan mode. When we do that, you'll notice that a lot of my items disappear, and that's because now this is giving me an aerial perspective of the ceiling itself, not the floor. So you'll notice that I have different light fixtures here, and I have recessed lighting. The reason that I like doing this here, it's so much easier because when you're in 3D, you're kind of looking up at the ceiling and you might not be able to get your spacing correct. So always do it here by switching to ceiling plan mode. Again, you can go to your catalog and search for lighting. Then you can go to your short list and narrow your search to just lighting options. And I think what I'm going to do here is, I think I'm going to do this guy here. I'm going to drag and drop into the bedroom and release. And you'll see now I have this really nice view to make it centered. And in 2D mode, I have access to the ruler tool. So let's say you had a number of recessed lights across the space like I have here, and you wanted to make sure that they were evenly spaced. You could use your ruler tool. So select that. You'll see that my cursor has changed slightly. I'm going to click, move out, drag out my cursor, and then click again, and that's going to give me the measurements. So now what I can do is simply click escape. I can select this recessed light. I can clone it, and then move it over and fit it into place and space out all of these evenly. All righty. Let's head back to floor plan mode. You'll see that my lighting has disappeared. My floor docked items are back, and we're gonna head into 3D. So up here, this little bar is showing you that it's loading. As soon as that reaches the end, perfect. Our space is loaded. So we're gonna focus in on this bedroom right now. I'm gonna double click to zoom in, and then I'm gonna hold down my left click to bring myself into the space. Do also know that you have the pan tool available to you. So sometimes people don't realize this is here. This is gonna, as you hold down your mouse, as you hold down your click, this is gonna take you straight up, straight down, and side to side in the space rather than your regular cursor, which is gonna give you that tilt, right? Okie dokie. So once we head into 3D mode, we have a number of tools that are now available to us that weren't before. One of those is free movement, which we'll go over in a second. One of them is the texture catalog, which is probably my favorite part about this entire software. And then the third is that we can transition into render mode and from render mode into walkthrough. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to double click on this mantle. I want to focus in here for a second. Let's talk about free movement. There's a lot of different applications for it, so it's kind of a handy tool to know about. Let's say I wanted to place some items on this mantle, but I happen to drag and drop this to the floor, or maybe it docks to the floor, right? When I select it, you'll notice that I have arrows going front to back and side to side, but I need it up here. So what I'm going to do now, you'll see at the top of my screen, is I'm going to select free movement. And when I do that, another arrow appears that allows me to bring this straight up. And now I can move it right back on top of my mantle. So if ever you have a situation where an item has docked to a plane that you don't want it to be on, and you need an extra arrow, basically, you need to be able to move it in all directions. That's when you're going to select it and select free movement, okay? So another application for free movement, let's say I place a door and I don't place it correctly right off the bat. Maybe it looks like it's kind of hovering above the floor. I'm not really sure what's going on. If I put it into free movement, like you see this is here, and then click on edit, the very first option that it's going to show me is my raise from floor. So I see here it's at 0, so that's perfect. It's flush with the floor. If you see that it's at 1 or at 2, you can set it to 0 and bring it back down. So that, you know, sometimes if you take a render preview and you notice that something looks like it's hovering, maybe the rug looks like it's hovering, put it into free movement and then bring that raise from floor down to 0. Or if you need to set your windows to a specific raise from floor, select edit and you can do that here. Okay. So yet another application for free movement right now is that we can group items, but they have to be in free movement first. So let's say I wanted to group this and this picture. I'd put both into free movement and then I'm going to hold down Control-Shift and select both. And now you'll see that it's highlighted both and immediately the option to group these products appears and now I can move them in unison. If I want to ungroup them, I simply click ungroup. Okay, and now I can manipulate them individually. So lastly, for free movement, I want to show you that with free movement, let's say rather than on the wall, I wanted this painting to be leaning up against the wall. I'm going to put it into free movement and then I'm going to click on rotate. And now you'll see I can rotate it in all directions. So I can rotate it back. I can enter the rotation in that window. And now I have a different look. So if you're arranging pillows on a bed or on a sofa and they're kind of sitting up awkwardly and you want them to be more relaxed and look more natural, you're going to do free movement, then select rotation, and you can rotate it in all directions. Okay. So because that has so many applications, I felt like it was an important tool to bring to your attention. Alrighty, let's talk about the texture catalog. My favorite thing, it's just below the short list. And when we select here, you'll see yet again, we have a number of different categories available to you. Flooring, and then you can narrow your search. So say you just want to see wood or just carpet, and then all of these options filter. Again, you're going to drag and drop. So let's use these curtains as a good example. I'm going to go to fabric. I can narrow my search to maybe just linen. And then it's going to show me all of these different options. There we go. I'll show you quickly. I'm simply going to drag and drop, and whatever my cursor is over, it will change the color. Let's say I have a specific texture. It can be anything. In this case, fabric. It can be a rug, floorboards, wall coloring, wallpaper, you name it, tile, and you're not finding it in the software. That's okay. You're not limited to whatever is in this texture catalog. In fact, you can upload any number of custom textures for no credit to use right here. So the very first thing that you're going to do is find this texture material online, and you're going to take a snapshot of it on your computer and crop out anything that isn't the texture. So you don't want any kind of like white border, nothing like that. And then you're going to save it to your computer again as an image file, the same as you did with the floor plan. You're going to go to your texture catalog and click upload textures. And when you do that, it's going to bring up your folders. I have a folder on my computer just called Textures for Foyr Neo, and you'll see here that I have a number of different options. So let's say I wanted a specific fabric. I've even done it with artwork, with all sorts of things. Let's say I want to make these curtains green. I'm going to click open. And within a few seconds, it's going to load into my uploaded folder, which is just at the bottom here, and it's going to automatically bring me there. So here I am. Now I simply drag and drop, and it's that simple. Drag and drop to these, and there we go. Now I have a custom texture that I've uploaded, and this is true for anything. Like I said, you just drag and drop it to the plane that you want it to apply to, and then you can edit the size of that texture from there, which again is a bit more detailed, and we can definitely get into that on a masterclass. Okay, so we talked about free movement, we talked about textures. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, create new product. So if you are on the standard or premium plan, you will have access to this tool right up here called create new product. I'm going to give you a very kind of basic overview of this because it is an involved tool that you can do so much with. Let me focus in on this wall. And now we're going to select create new product. So when I do that, my view is still like a 3D view, but you'll see that the tools available to me have changed. So let's say I want to build a quick little shelf, a couple shelves right here. I'm going to grab one of my ready-made tools called the rectangle tool. I'm going to click on the wall, and I'm going to drag out my mouse again. I can enter specific dimensions in those windows if I have them, or I can freehand draw. Now I'm going to grab push pull. So my rectangle tool is going to give me the outer frame of whatever I'm building. Push pull is going to give your object depth, height, and you can resize. And again, I can enter. So say I only want this to be 5 inches deep. There we go. Now each one of these planes, you'll see as I hover over it, turns blue because it's a separate plane that I can manipulate. So I can push this in, I can push this down, whatever I need to do. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define some borders. So offset defines borders. When I click here, release my, my left click and just drag my mouse out, it's creating the exact replica shape. So it doesn't have to be a rectangle. It can be any shape. It will recreate it inside. Click again, and that number there was showing me the inches from the border. Once again, you'll see that now these have become 2 separate planes that I can manipulate. So let's say I want to throw some shelving in here. I can use my ruler tool to evenly space out my, my shelves. Or I can just type, okay, I need this to be 5 inches down. I'm going to click again, start moving my mouse, and I want my shelves to be 2 inches deep. Now I'm going to click again, start moving, 5 inches down, and 2 inches. Perfect. So this is providing me, those dotted lines are just a guide, right? Now we're gonna draw over top of them. I'm gonna grab my rectangle tool again. I'm gonna click. It's gonna snap me onto those dotted lines, which is really helpful. You don't have to worry about having a steady hand. The software has object snapping, wall snapping, line snapping in Create New Product. So it really helps you out in that way. And now I've defined the different areas. So the very last thing that I'm going to do here is go back to push pull, and I'm going to create a cavity so that we can see the shelves that I've just drawn out. I'm going to click and I'm going to push these back. There we go. So just as an example, you'll see if I pushed it all the way back into the wall, it would slice it away and disappear completely, which really does come in handy. Or if I wanted it to have a backing like this, I could push it back to just, 1 inch. Okay, now I'm going to click done. And again, this is a very rudimentary example, but for time's sake, we'll keep it simple. And now I'm back in 3D mode. I can drag and drop textures. I can place staging items, books, whatever it may be on this shelf and create something. I'm going to show you guys an example of something a bit more elaborate, like this. So this is a mantle that I dragged and dropped from the catalog. I changed the textures. I uploaded a custom artwork through in the same way that I just showed you guys. But I wanted custom built-ins that fit right around the base of this mantle. So what I did was I built these out in Create New Product, and I only built one side, went back into 3D mode, cloned it, set it on the horizontal plane, and then I dragged into my textures. I only had to build one. Didn't take that long once I got the hang of the tool. And that's just an example of one thing that you can do, but it really spans so broad. Okay, let me delete that away for now. Okay, so those are the three really big tools that you have access to in 3D mode that help you not only customize your space, but also just help you work faster. Okay, let's head into render mode. So render mode is accessible right here in the top right-hand corner. And here we are. So you're still going to get that 3D view, but what you'll see here is now that once again, the tools available to us have changed. So I say when you go into render mode, you stop being a designer and you start becoming a photographer, right? We're not going to be editing the placement of anything or rotating anything. What we're going to be doing is taking a picture, a really pretty picture. So I'm just going to use my mouse to navigate here. And a few helpful tips that I like to use and recommend to people. The first thing that I do, unless you're working in a really narrow space or a really small space, bring your field of view all the way to the left. And what you'll notice is that brings that number down to 45. It's going to zoom you in, but that's okay. When you use your the mouse on your scroll, you can just move on out like I'm doing here. You can also use your down arrow key to move back, okay? And you can use your left and right arrow keys to pan around the room. This is also used an option in 3D mode. The reason that I do this is because I want to prevent any kind of walls or furniture from appearing stretched. The field of view is really nice because it's going to give you this broader picture right from the start, but that might come at the cost of making some walls look a little warped. So a way to get around that, if you find that that's happening in your renders, is to just bring your field of view down and then you won't have that issue anymore. This is really nice in galley kitchens to have it up higher, or closets. That's when you really want to utilize that tool. So like I was saying, we're simply going to back up so that we can take in more space. Let me show you what might happen. So here now I've hit the wall behind me, right? That's okay. That's what clip view is really made for. You're going to see if I just ever so slightly move that, I've now sliced through the wall. So this essentially allows you to be standing in the place of where the wall is, but to see through it. I love this tool. It's something that a lot of designers I speak to don't know exactly how it works. So I thought this was important to highlight for you guys. You don't have to sacrifice how much you're taking in by using just your field of view. You can back up and then literally see through the wall. So if I wanted to back up again, if I hit the wall again, I'm just going to use clip view once more. Okay. Now maybe I'll use my pan tool to move myself over to the side. Maybe I zoom in real quick. Okay. Alrighty, so those are two really big ones. Camera height, self-explanatory. It's going to take you straight up and straight down into the space, and your rise above floor is going to be right here for you. Concealer, if you've ever used Photoshop, you can hide away certain items. It doesn't delete them. It simply hides them from the scene and won't show in the render. or you can unhide them. And now let's move on to lighting. So we have two different options. We have our sun down here, and you'll see as I move this, that the rays of light coming through the windows change, right? So it's really realistic. Let's say I leave it right there. I want it to kind of cascade over the bed. And now I'm gonna go to this lighting folder here. You can shoot in day, evening, or night. You'll see that the environment and the light coming into the room changes as I switch. You can also apply multiple filters or different filters to your scene. I typically shoot in daytime, but it's really a matter of preference for you guys. And one thing that I like to bring up, natural daylight is gonna give you like a warmer, more yellow hue, and fresh is gonna be whiter and brighter. So I know a lot of designers have asked, how do I get the light coming into the space to be a bit more white and a little less yellow? Switch to fresh, okay? Your interior lighting, the default is low, but you can increase that. That's referring to my table lamps and my chandelier. And you can change the outside environment, and not only can you change it, but you can rotate it. So let's say you have a client who lives on the beach and those windows need to be overlooking the water. You can select one of the beach scenes, and then you can rotate the scene. And I don't know if you guys can see that out the window, but now this is overlooking the water. So there is an environment for every type of literal environment and also season. We have some winter scenes down here too. You can turn your product lighting off completely, or you can turn your sun off. So this is a really nice tool. You'll see as I turn this off, you see how the room dims, but it doesn't become nighttime because I'm shooting in day. So this is really useful if you're doing like an outdoor patio and maybe you take a render preview and it feels a little overexposed. Try turning your sun off to dim it, but still shoot in daytime. That might be a good solution for you. Okay, so let's say you think you like what you see, but you don't want to use any render credits before you know for sure. You're going to go up here and you're going to get a preview. And this is going to generate a 3D photorealistic render preview for you in the bottom right-hand corner. And that way you can make any adjustments to your lighting, to your positioning before you commit to using your render credits. So if you like what you see, this is going to run a little slow since we're on this call, but that's okay. If you like what you see, you can click submit up top here. And then it's going to bring up this window and it's going to ask you which resolution you want to shoot in. So you have HD, which uses 1 credit, 2K and 4K use 3 credits, and then it's going to show you the number of credits that you have available to you. Your credits do roll over, so if you don't use them, you don't lose them, which is really nice. I do recommend taking the same exact scene as an HD quality and as a 4K so that you can see the difference in resolution, and then you can make a more informed decision when you're working. Typically, if I'm posting on my portfolio online or on Instagram, I'm using 4K. If I'm in the early stages of a project, I'll use HD, and that's still excellent quality. Alrighty, so once you've made that decision, you're gonna click on render. And when you do that, down here in the bottom left-hand corner under View Gallery, your render will start to process. It takes just a couple of minutes. And then you'll see here, I have a number of different renders that now I can click here and share with social media or directly with a client. Or I can click download and it will download onto my computer as an image file. Okay, so let's take a look at what this space, this entire apartment looks like as 3D photorealistic renders. These are in 4K. This is a little living area, kitchen, dining, some lemons. I love this up close shot. You can even see the water in the glass. The apples look really realistic. I love it. Second bedroom, and then this is actually the children's bedroom as well. And then this is the master bedroom that we were just working in. So here's that scene as a 3D photorealistic render. Really realistic. I love how the light cascades. You'll notice that each light fixture is emitting light, even up top here on the ceiling. It's a really beautiful view. Okie dokie. So let's say you want to take it one step further for your clients, or they're requesting that 3D photorealistic walkthrough. I'm going to kind of glaze over this quickly, and then we'll get into questions, okay? So from render mode, you can access the walkthrough, which is in the top right-hand corner. And when you click that, it's going to pull up existing walkthroughs that you've already started, or you can create new. So I'm going to click create new just for a second so that I can show you this page. It's going to ask you high density or low density. And all that means is how many cameras do you want in the space, right? So this is going to use the minimum number of cameras, which I always find is really sufficient for the space. And it's also going to use fewer credits. So you'll see here under low density, it's telling me it's going to use 12 credits. If I switch to high density, it's going to use 22. And then over here, it's telling me how many I have available as well. Okay, so let's go back real quick. I'm going to open an existing one that I am already working on. I apologize that this window is kind of blocking our view a little bit, but that's all right. Okay, so now we are in walkthrough mode. We refer to this as kind of the 2D mode of walkthrough, and then this over here, this window that we'll head into in a second, is the 3D mode of the walkthrough. So here in 2D, and this is just loading for a second, but I'll start to explain to you, all of these blue circles are cameras. There's our 3D photorealistic render. So I might brighten the lighting. I might bring my camera height down. I look like I'm kind of floating a little bit there and make some adjustments before I submit it. But that's the beauty of the render preview. I haven't used any render credits. So now I'm just going to exit out of that. Perfect. Alrighty, and our scene has loaded. Okay, so these are all of the cameras that are available to us. You'll see that some are blue, some are grayed out because I've hidden them, which I'll show you how to do. I can here grab hold of these cameras and I can move them around the space. I think we're lagging just a little bit, but you simply click, hold down your left click, and then you're gonna move it. There we go. We're running a little slow. Okay, and then this window over here is gonna show us what we're looking at. Alrighty, we can set our lighting. So if you had lighting that you really liked in your renders, you can replicate that here in the walkthrough experience in the same way. And then when we click on cameras in the top left-hand corner, what you're going to notice is that all of my cameras are grouped by the room that they fall in. So this is the master bedroom. These are the 2 cameras in the master bedroom. And when I select camera 14, it's going to turn orange to indicate, hey, here's the camera that you're working with right now. And here is what you're looking at or here's what's going to be the starting point of that camera in walkthrough. So one of the things that I love about this feature is sometimes people think it's just a video. It's not. It's literally like Google Maps where you can walk down the street. You can use your cursor to look up, look down, look all around 360. Your clients are going to have a completely interactive experience with this walkthrough. It's not just a video playing out for them. Okay. So I've hidden, let's see. These are other items. Let's see, where is this looking? So you'll see as I click, the different areas are appearing for me here. And I can name these rooms right here. Let me zoom in just a second. So you see here, this says second bedroom. I could name this closet, closet 2, whatever it may be. And that way I can easily figure out which room I'm working in. If I want to hide cameras individually, I can click on this eye here. Sometimes it might tell you, hey, sorry, this is going to interrupt the experience too much to hide it, especially if you choose low density. So you can hide the room if you need to. Unless, of course, you have your starting point starting in that room, and then it won't let you hide it away. So how do we set our starting point? Let's head into 3D, and I'll show you how to do it there. We're going to head into 3D mode by selecting here. Might just take a second. And then it's as simple as clicking on the camera that you want. It's going to down here below say set starting point. You'll click that, click done, and then that's where your walkthrough experience will begin. So maybe we choose the front door and we choose this camera here. Alrighty, while this is loading, let me pull up, one moment. Can someone write in the chat box if you guys can hear me, because I think I froze. And I just want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself. Okay, let me see. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, awesome. All right, what we're gonna do here, I'm having some technical issues, but what I wanna do is bring up the walkthrough of this apartment and let you guys see what that looks like as a 3D photorealistic view, and then we'll jump right into questions. Okay, here we are, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. Alrighty, so here was my starting point at the front door. I can click on my arrows, which is gonna take me to the next camera, and you'll see as I grab hold of my scene, I can look up and down and all around. So it's not critical that the camera be pointed at exactly the angle that you even want it to be, because your clients can move all around the space. And you'll see that the level of detail is the same as in the render. You can also find other cameras, and they're like little circles on the floor. You'll see here, and you can click on them and hop around. All right, so here we have our living space. I'm gonna hop over here, check out the dining area. You'll see that the lights reflect on the walls. I'll head into the kitchen. You can kind of see the texture of the stove is really realistic. Again, our lighting, and we can look all over. All of the reflections in your renders and in your walkthrough will reflect what's opposite it. You can also then select specific rooms up top here. So say I want to head into the bathroom, I'm going to click on the bathroom camera, and now I can look all around, and then we can go into the guest bedroom. And here we are. So, and you'll see there's that reflection in the mirror. So this is what a walkthrough looks like. You're not limited to just a video playing. They can really interact with the space. Okay, cool, cool. I hope that wasn't too overwhelming for you guys. I was trying to keep it as quick as possible so we could get to questions. So I will do that now. Alrighty, let me take a look through these questions here. Or if you guys haven't already sent some in and you'd like to start, we can definitely do that. Do be sure to check out our Instagram page. Like I said, I can pull that up for you guys as well. Alrighty, let me try and find some questions here. So Malika is asking, could you use Foyr for accurate working drawings that could be used as a DWG package? What do you mean by DWG? And if you guys have audio and want to come on, you can do that too. Oh, here we have our Q&A. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at the wrong window. But still, that question is valid. If you want to write what you mean by DWG, and then I'll address that in just a second. DWG for drawing. So you can, I mean, if you're drawing out floor plans, you can draw out your own floor plan in 2D mode. You can select individual walls and edit the length of the walls, the ceiling height. All of that is kind of the more like nitty gritty detailed stuff that I glossed over for time's sake. But yeah, you can create your own floor plans, or you can upload and do those drawings. I'm not sure if that's answering your question or not. AutoCAD format. So if you're uploading something from AutoCAD, it just needs to be saved as an image file. It can't be any other file type. Is that what you mean? Okay. Let's see, in textures mode, do you just hover the mouse to apply the texture over the object? Yes, so you're going to drag and drop. Can't get out of this, this little screen here. Let me pull up a screen again and we'll go into that, but you're going to hold down your left click, pick up the texture, and then drag it and release your left click on the surface. that makes sense. What you can also do is click on the texture in the texture catalog, and then you'll notice that your cursor will change. There'll be like a little circle, and the texture will fill that circle. And then you can just move over and click, click, click on whatever it is that you want that texture to take on. I'll try and show you an example here. We'll just let this load. Alrighty, how is Foyr different than other softwares? I might have to learn this if I consider, but why? So I think that the biggest thing for me using Foyr, I tried several different softwares before I discovered Foyr on Instagram, actually. And the learning curve was just so different. Honestly, there were other softwares that I used where I felt like I needed to go back to college or take really formal courses to learn the software. It didn't feel like something that I could learn myself. And that was one of the biggest differences for Foyr Neo, is that I was able to teach myself. And then with all of the different supports that we offer, I was able to like go from kind of amateur level, but still really like having a handle, to like pro and working for the company. So that is like #1 difference for me, just the ease of use and being able to learn it yourself. #2 is just the quality of the renders and how easy it is and how quick it is to make those designs, to not be having to outsource your renders. I know that's something when I speak with designers, they're outsourcing, and that's money, right? That's money coming out of your pocket. So that kind of full spectrum of services that you get from Foyr, how easy it is and how fast you can learn it, right? Because time is money. I hope that answers your question. What's object snapping? Okay, so object snapping, here we are in 2D mode. Not sure what's going on right there. There we go. Object snapping means it's either your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on what you're doing. So you can turn object snapping on and off in 2D mode under this little settings gear here. And you'll see right now I have it turned off. The default is that it's turned on. So what this does, you might notice that you are arranging furniture pieces and they kind of like want to snap into place for you. Where this is really useful is if you're applying, say, wall panels and you need to have like multiple wall panels lined up consecutively. Object snapping turned on is really helpful because it's going to snap the seams of each wall panel into place for you, so there's no overlay and there's no gap. Where it becomes maybe not as useful is like, say you have a vase on a table and you want it to be centered, but it keeps snapping from one end of the table to the other. That's where you would go back into 2D mode, turn off object snapping, and then you're going to have free range of motion with all of your products. Okay. Let me pull up. Here we go. Render mode is exciting. I like it. I'm glad. It is exciting. Check out our Instagram page. Really, you're going to see such cool stuff. Alrighty. I like the flat lay videos on your Instagram. Can you do a webinar on how to create those? I believe we are doing a webinar on that coming up. Do also check out. So I've recorded a few videos that are on Instagram walking you through, I believe one is like a 13-minute video, but it walks you through all of the components of the flat lay. So definitely check that out on our page. And I do believe that we're doing a webinar in the future, so keep an eye on your email. What's the concept of render credits? So render credits, it's like Foyr money, right? So part of your plan, depending on the plan that you have, you get a certain amount of render credits per month, and that is to then, create those renders. So that's how we kind of think of it. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. How do the ceiling lights work? If you could clarify that question, how do the ceiling lights work in the Q&A? I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand how to answer that. In terms of lighting, so we do have like a really cool auto lighting. So it's going to adjust the amount of light emitting from the product, depending on the size of the product, depending on the size of the room. And that's all kind of handled in render mode. Let me know if that answers your question. If not, I'll address it again. Alrighty. Jean from Philly, Pennsylvania, represent. Please review the part in the intro where you show the floor plan. You use the rectangle tool for what reason? Oh, okay. So rectangle tool, say you have a floor plan or you're just doing a single room and it's a simple square or rectangle in shape, no need to draw out 4 individual walls like this, right? Click, click, click. You can just go to your room tool. And when you select and then you click and you move out your mouse, and again, I'm not holding down my mouse, I'm just pulling it out and clicking again, it's going to draw those 4 rooms or those 4 walls for you, and you can enter the specific dimensions in this window. So say it's 15 by 15. I'm just going to type that in. Oops, I did inches, sorry. But whatever it may be, you just type that in and it draws all of those walls. So it's just a faster way to draw out your walls if you have a simple shape like that. And again, I missed the duplication of the built-ins. Do it as, okay. So the duplication of, let me head into 3D mode real quick. That was actually a flat lay right there. I'm just going to drag and drop anything and show you guys how I would have done that. So what's nice is once you create something and create new product and head back into 3D mode, you can move that around and manipulate it in the same exact way you would anything from the product catalog. So let me just drag something that's, these aren't great examples. Okay, let's do a door because this is a good example. So one option that you have when you bring an item into place is you can click on it. You can clone it, right? But now let's say I need this handle on this side and I need this handle on this side. I need it to be flipped. I'm going to select it. I'm going to click on edit. And then down here below where it says flip, I can do a horizontal flip and watch that, see how it flips to the other side, or I can do a vertical flip. And now it's front to back. So that's what I did. I created the one shelf, cloned it, and then I horizontally flipped it so that the orientation was correct. Okay, and that's under edit. Select the item, click edit, and then it's right down here. This is great for doors. It's great for stairs if the hand railing is on the wrong side. Let's see, can I edit them or are they automatic? How editable are they? Are you referring to items from the product catalog? So if you are, let me show you. So let's pull in something. Let's pull in a sofa. I want to show you guys like a sneaky tool that I use that's in our texture catalog. Okay, this one's perfect. All right, so as soon as that loads, while you can't crop a product. So if I wanted to saw this sofa in half and only have half of it, I couldn't do that. I can resize it. I can clone it. I can rotate it in all directions. I can have it levitating off the floor if I want, right? I can flip it horizontally or vertically. That's how you can manipulate it. Let's say you love the sofa, you hate the pillows. Go into your texture catalog, and what you're going to find is invisible material. And you're going to just type that into the search bar. Here, this item here, I pretty much just always save it to my short list. You can now drag and drop. So I'm holding down my left click, and then I'm just releasing my left click over the item. And you'll see here now that you can basically see through it. So one thing that's nice about this is even though I can see it here in 3D mode, when I head into render mode, it will render invisible. So if you didn't want the pillows or if you wanted to place your own pillows, just apply invisible material to the different planes that you don't want to see and then style it yourself. So I've also used this. Maybe you find a kitchen cabinet that you really love and you like the shutter, but you hate the hardware, right? You can drag and drop the invisible material to the hardware and then place your own hardware from the catalog by looking up handles and pulls over top of it, and then that's what you'll see, and then the other stuff won't render. So that's a really nice tool, and that's kind of a way of customizing and editing the existing products in the catalog. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, which I have just a few minutes and I don't see any more questions here, so I'll go over this real quick, is you have 2 different options for uploading custom models. So let's say there's something that is very specific and you're just not finding it in the catalog. That's okay, because we do have model requests. So if you're on the standard or the premium plan, you get a certain amount of model requests per month, and you can access that information on your dashboard under your account settings. And then you go to here in the catalog and you can select My Models. So when you put in a new request, they're going to ask for a picture of, say it's a sofa, a picture of the sofa, all of the dimensions, and then any textures and materials that need to be applied to that sofa. And then within 24 to 48 business hours, the product team at Foyr will build out that 3D model for you and add it to your catalog in your catalog alone. And then they'll shoot you an email and let you know that it's there, and you will have access to that across all of your projects. So that's option number one, and it does use model credits, which are separate from render credits, okay? The second option doesn't use any credits, and it's down here, and it's called uploads. I'm glad that you asked this question because I meant to cover this in our overview. So if you have access to a furniture piece as an OBJ file, if you use SketchUp, there are conversion tools, free conversion tools online that will convert a SketchUp document or file to an OBJ. It's simply a 3D file, right? You save it to your computer, and then you're going to go to upload. You're going to click upload here. It can't exceed 30 megabytes. Find the OBJ file, click open, and then it just zoomed me in a little too much. There we go. So here's my coffee table. And then to the right here, it's going to ask me to give the coffee table a name, apply it to a category in my catalog. It's going to ask me where I want it to dock from, where I want it to dock to, the floor, what my measurement units are, and then to enter the specific dimensions here. And then I click upload. And when I do that, it'll upload here, and then I drag and drop it into the space. And then in 3D, I can apply textures to it by dragging and dropping again. And when I select it here, I can manipulate this in the same way I would anything else from the catalog. So those are two options for you to bring outside models into your catalog. I hope that helps. Alrighty, one more question. Okay, or maybe a couple more. Is there an option to find the price of every product included in Foyr catalog? So the short answer is not right now, but we are working on it. That is going to be a future iteration of the software that I'm so excited about. You'll be able to create a shopping list for your clients right here on Foyr. There's a lot of really exciting new tools to the software and just features that we're going to be rolling out, some very soon and some this calendar year. So stay tuned, but the answer is it's coming. Okay. All righty. Have I gotten to everybody? Let me check the chat real quick. Oh, you missed my question on curved curtain walls. Curved curtain walls. Malika, if you are still on the call, what do you mean by that? Yes, I am here. Awesome. So is the wall curved or are the curtains curved? The wall is curved. How would I go about drawing a curved curtain wall? Oh, goodness, that's a good question. Okay, so we've got a curved wall and we need to have a curtain that goes around it. Let me think about this. So in our catalog, we have a category called geometrics, which I've just spelled incorrectly. Geometrics, there we go. Once this pulls up, you'll find it's just a number of different shapes that we can manipulate. So my first thing is to drag and drop something like this hollow semi-cylinder. This is ceiling docked, but they have them as wall docked and floor docked. You just have to find it. I'm going to double click. And now what you can do is you can resize this. So say my curved wall was over here. I'm going to rotate it. And now I'm going to resize this down. And then what I would say you could do is apply fabric. We have sheer, we do have like sheer curtain material if that's what you were looking for, or just any other fabric options. And you can even limit your search or narrow your search to sheer options. So then you would drag and drop it to get that effect. That actually doesn't look half bad, right? So you can also resize the depth if you need it to kind of curve around. Do you see how that's working? Let me go back to the chat. Does that answer your question, Malika? So that was under geometrics. hollow semi-cylinder, and then apply a texture after you've resized it to go around a curved wall. A curtain wall is a wall made of windows totally. Oh, I'm sorry. So the wall is curved, but it has windows on it. I'm not quite understanding the question. Wall made of windows totally. Yes. Okay. I apologize. Okay. That's a more intricate build. Let me think about that. So we need a curved wall and we need windows that work around it. That might be a situation where you might want to have the team actually build that out for you, because the solution in here might not just be worth that time. So you can look through your windows. Let's see. I don't think we have any windows that are actually working like that. We do have bay windows that you could check out, and maybe we might find something that works in there. Otherwise, if you can provide a photo, so we do have something like this, not quite round, but we do have a couple of different bay window options. Let's check this out. This is massive. But you can always resize it. So check out bay windows. If not, this is an example of where I would definitely put in a model request. You see here, and you would have to build your walls out so that they fit into this, and have the team build that out, and then it'll be available to you in your catalog always, as long as you're a member. I hope that helps. I'm sorry, I know that's not necessarily the best answer. So let me pull up your chat again. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. You can reach out to us. And yeah, we're going to be wrapping up here. I hope this was helpful to all of you. I hope that I answered your questions. Do be sure to check out the link in the chat box for a 14-day free trial. If you're not already using the software, do sign up for that to test out the software ahead of time before you commit. Malika, you can write to ryandavis@foyr.com. Here is the link to try a 14-day free trial if you would like. Check us out on Instagram, give us a follow. And as always, we are here as a support, so reach out anytime. Alrighty, check your inboxes for next week's webinar, and I will see you guys then. Bye-bye.